watching a Project Nerd presentation. Enjoy, nerds.
Hi, this is Keith Coogan. You are watching CF3? Okay, CF3. You may know me as Brad from Adventures in Babysitting, or Kenny from Don't Tell My. Say the dishes line. Okay, I'll say it. The dishes are done, man. I am not being held against my will. But watch CF3 anyway. It's a pretty good show. Can I watch the Goop? What? No? Okay.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of CF3 Cult Fans, Films, and Finds. I'm Dane Michael.
And I am Jeff Johnson, and our co-host is a real Metallica Breath who needs to park himself in front of a toothbrush.
Yes, he's Dames Marves. Dames, where are you broadcasting from today, sir?
Well, I'm a career girl now. I'm in my office with my microphone. So happens to be. Yeah, you can see you got Lake Michigan back there.
Oh, you're right on top of that, Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch out for that petty cash.
Spent.
Guys, our guest for this episode, as you both know, but they might not, so I'm going to just lay it out here for everybody. Our guest was the grandson of legendary actor Jackie Coogan.
Ooh, Uncle Fester.
Uncle Fester!
And like his grandfather before him, he took up acting at a young age. His notable film roles include The Fox and the Hound, Cheetah, Hiding Out. Have you heard of that one? Toy Soldiers, Adventures in Babysitting, and our featured film for this episode, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Please welcome Mr. Keith Coogan.
Yeah! So, what kind of films or TV shows did you watch while growing up, and do you have one that you consider a cult film favorite of yours?
Oh, great question. All of the great TV of the 70s. I had a little 9-inch black and white that I just watched everything from Gilligan's Island to, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. And I would turn off the TV by the time like Columbo or like adult shows would come on.
Yeah.
And film, my mom was usher in a movie theater and would plop me down in the front seat very young for The Exorcist, The Sting, A Clockwork Orange. And so I had a very broad, and I was raised to cultivate a broad history of ancient film and past film because of my grandfather, and my mom, being counterculture and kind of subversive, wanted me to be tuned into Brian De Palma, Steven Spielberg, the 70s auteur directors, Michael Cimino, that all George Lucas, and so I was like aware of all of those kinds of things going on.
Parenting 101 right there, people.
Now, for Clockwork, did you have to watch it like this?
I felt sick the whole time I watched it. I don't know why.
I still have not seen that one yet myself.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I have not, actually.
Great. So, revisiting Kubrick's work now, when people look at Eyes Wide Shut or Full Metal Jacket, they're realizing that he might be commenting on filmmaking or Hollywood itself. And so look at A Clockwork Orange under that idea that film itself, because they use film in it to program him. Okay. And of course the TV, that's why they call it TV programming. what program did you watch last night? And I gladly, I am Screen Actors Guild, and 45 years in this business, love it, and it is powerful. I think that's the one main thing to say, is that all of these film is incredibly powerful. It takes everything about art and books and stories and plays, and it creates its own unique assaultive, as David Putnam at Columbia said it in the early 90s. He said, you are attacked in a dark room with strangers by images that are 10 times larger than life in THX surround sound, and it can be very overwhelming. Oftentimes you don't remember the third act of a movie. How did it end? I don't know. They beat the bad guy. The reason is because you've gone through the story wheel and you come into the subconscious. And as you come out of the subconscious, if everything's been working in the movie, you should be in such a hypnotic state that at the end, you're only seeing all of the metaphors and kind of the similes. The action is irrelevant to the theme. Yeah. And so you don't remember exactly the action at the end of a film necessarily, unless it's really specific. So a big general, everyone's fighting, I don't think does much for resonating later when you think about a story.
Yeah.
Wow. I can think of sometimes that's actually happened to me. That's crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Lady in the Water is one of those for me.
You have to see A Clockwork Orange and keep that in mind. And it's just a movie about free will. It's awesome.
Well, free will to watch it, Jeff. Anytime you want. But.
Yeah. So Keith, you grew up with acting in your blood. Now, was it like kind of preordained that you yourself would be an actor, following in the footsteps of your grandfather, or did you have to like fight for your right to party? Basically,
neither. I don't think my family never encouraged me to join the business. And then once I was interested because I saw kids on TV and I was like, I want to be on TV. Maybe I wanted the toy that the kid was playing with. And I'd heard sometimes you get to keep the toy from the cool, I want to be on that commercial. And then after that, it was, cool. My mom kind of knew an agent. We could get in and read. And they said, great, we'll get you out. And I just started working. I got my union card at 6 in 1976.
Nice.
But they did not, they always reminded me it was an elective. You still have to do life and do school and chores and all that crap. And then you also, if you're on top of that, you get to also be in the business. So I was like, always kept that in mind.
You play two different very kinds of teens in Adventures in Babysitting and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Which is closer to the real Keith Coogan?
Wow, that's a great question. I was working a lot as a professional in the union, with other professionals, and everybody pretty much made more money than I did behind the camera. So there's got to be a lot of respect for that process. And so I was a good kid. I worked for Disney many times in my life, and I want to continue to work for Disney. So I'm more of a Brad than a Kenny. And that was a stretch for me. And I really got to give it to Marcy Learoff for allowing me to try out for Kenny.
So how did the audition process go for this?
I got a call for Brian, the clown dog boy.
All right.
And the description was 17 years old. He is kind of a nerd and he's in love with the babysitter. And I went, I think I just played that. It was called Brad Anderson.
Yeah.
And seriously, and honestly, Anthony Rapp had turned down a film called Adult Education because the character was very type A, aggressive, funny, punny, and sexually obsessed. And he goes, I just played Daryl. I don't want to play this Patrick. It was Hiding Out. So he turned down Hiding Out, and I subsequently got it. So you don't want to repeat what you just last did. It was part of not being pigeonholed. Today, right. Brandon, you play exactly the same thing every film, whether it's Sherlock Holmes or Semi-Pro or Anchorman. You play this. Now Anchorman's different in his genius. I'm not going to denigrate Anchorman, but there are two kinds of actors. I think there are those that have technique or craft or work on it. Maybe it's not God-given. Maybe you work and you study and you learn. It's a craft. Anybody can learn boat making. The other is you have a charisma. You have a personality. You have something. I kind of say Robert De Niro and Bai Ling. aren't both equally fascinating to watch on screen. Now, the process of working with one or the other actor becomes different when you mix those kinds of casts. Either everybody's nuts or nobody's nuts. In this case, nobody was nuts. Joanna Cassidy said, you don't have to be crazy to be good. And so everyone was just brought their A game for Don't Tell Mom the Babysitters did. So I respectfully, I said, hey, I read the script and I love this Kenny 15-year-old, you know, heavy metal, Guns N' Roses chef turns into a, you know, or Guns N' Roses turns into a chef. What's this? And my representation said, you're too old.
Oh.
I was 19, about to turn, I was maybe 20, but I think I was 20. And he goes, this, you can't play 15. I go, it's a caricature kind of a part. Maybe, no. So my friend Chris Young from PCU and Great Outdoors and Max Headroom, he helped me prepare ripped jeans and a skull vest and a bad wig bought for $15 at Burbank Hair and Makeup. And I set that aside in the car. And then I went in and I met with casting and I got to read for the producers and the director were in the room. Maybe just the producers. And so I read for Brian and it went fine. And on my way out the door, I turned to the casting Marcy and I said, hey, can I come back in a few minutes and show you something? And I'd read for her for a lot of things. And she goes, sure, absolutely. So I go back to the car and they're switching over from my character, from Brian, to they're now seeing all of the Kennys. So it was perfect timing. So in the car and I changed to the wig and I go over the sides and I'm like, am I really doing this? You're really not supposed to do this. But I had permission from the casting director. So I go back in and I pass all of the guys that eventually were Hellhound and Lizard and everybody. Because it's called cast, you cast off of one role. And you have everybody read for one role. And then you just go, what's their personality? Are they Pony Boy? Are they, you know what I mean? And then I think that's how a lot of films are cast that way. You read for the lead, and if you don't get the lead, they just put you in the one that they feel your personality is, your essence. So I came in and I kicked open the door with help, of course, from casting and full character. Never broke. I never broke in the room. You know, who's in charge? Let's do this, rock and roll. And I read, and they said, you know, finally I broke when the casting director said, oh, Keith, Keith, go ahead and take your wig off. And I took off the wig, and I had a baseball cap over it, like Sebastian Bach style, because the wig was really crappy. It looked better with the baseball cap on. So I take it off, and I'm, you know, and they go, this is Keith Coogan. And we kind of turned to each other, and I had pulled it off. They honestly didn't know it was the same kid that was in there 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
And a few days later, I got the call, and I got the film. And I was like, oh, my gosh, now I got to really do this.
What a fun part, though. I mean, it's basically the John Belushi character, only with the redeeming qualities at the end.
And then they sunk money into wigs. I had a crew cut having just come off the Cheetah, where I had a very short haircut. And it's basically my hair at the end of the film when I'm Kenneth. Yeah. So I went to Wigs by Ziggy, legendary wig maker in Burbank, and sit down and do a life cast, and he hand laces, you know, a yak wig, and two of them. He made two of them, two $3,000 a piece wigs. Wow. And I'm getting the life cast done, and I look up on the wall, and I see a picture of my grandfather, Jackie Coogan. I go, why do you have a picture of my grandfather on the wall? And he says in the 60s, his PR agent said that he needed to wear a toupee in public. The same guy that made pieces for my grandfather made Kenny's wig. And they kept it, awesome. Put it in Warner Brothers archive somewhere, pulled it out for press when the movie was released. I actually wore it on a morning show doing like a cooking waffles demonstration, and I wouldn't break character. Oh, God, it was so embarrassing. I just wouldn't break character. And Steve Edwards even goes, that's enough of this. And he pulls the wig off of my head and puts Kenny's wig on his own head. And finally, I'm like, fine, movie opens today. Go see it.
That's amazing.
I was good. You know, you never let go of the character until you finish the commentary.
Well, so many classic lines, classic behavior.
Yeah. Dave, so you have a question, an important question that you were
I do
really ask.
And I mean, I understand the this may be personal. If it's too personal,
Yes.
feel free to cut me off, tell me to shut up. And remember, this is an edited podcast, so we can edit all this out if it becomes too much of a dramatic issue or you start crying or something. Are the dishes ever really done, man?
Dishes are done, man. No. God, no. Everybody knows dishes are never done. But the taxes could be done. Or the car wash could be done. Or the vacuuming could be done, man. And I've seen people appropriate it, and God, that's amazing. So I sell dishes. On my website, you can get a plate signed. Dishes are done. Keith Coogan, Kenny. I believe I have a purchase from you guys just this morning, so thank you for
I
that.
definitely ordered one.
Yes, we'll be showing those later on the episode.
I'll be making my
actually-
order after the fact because I was busy working today, my other job.
Would you mind taking a fan question from one of our viewers?
Yes to both questions.
Great. Renee Corcoran wants to know, what was your favorite role that you ever did?
Wow. Role that I ever. That's a different question than favorite movie to work on. Different
Yes.
question than favorite movie, because
Yes.
movie to work on and favorite movie could be different. Favorite role. Wow. I don't know why William from All Summer in a Day pops up. You know, the kid that locks her in the closet. And that was a Scholastic special that played on little 16 millimeter, projectors in classrooms around the country. And it was one of my first really bad guy roles. And it was fun. It was a neat process. I don't know why I jumped to that. I don't want to. Cousins was my favorite film to work on. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead also falls in that category. It's probably my favorite film. So what was the question again? Which one was my favorite role?
Role, yes.
For how effective it serves the story, I'm going to go to Todd and the Fox and the Hound because it still makes me cry every time I watch it. So to this day, whatever they made me do when I was 8 years old, I'm not say made me do, there was directors. They wrote the lines and told me stand there and talk in front of this mic. So they made me do it. They paid me for it. So that as a role, that's one of my favorite roles. And to be 8 again, come on.
Yeah, and it's on Disney Plus. Yeah.
No.
It is. It's on Disney Plus and is beautiful. It's a It looks
beautiful. It is beautiful.
If you have a high def enough, whatever streaming for Disney Plus, and you set it to the highest settings you can, it looks like they painted on your screen each cell. It's really nice.
Keith, what was it like to work with Christina Applegate, whom you did read to be the love interest opposite her, but apparently your heart wasn't in it. I don't know if you knew she was cast in that role at the time, but you did get to work with her, and what was she like to work with?
I would much rather be Christina's friend or brother than any of her, a boyfriend or a husband or anything, because she's amazing person. And of course, she's, everybody there's the joke about how smart she is. She's like Marilyn Monroe and playing Kelly Bundy so intelligently. She's a genius with comedy. And I didn't know how she was going to approach when we did it. Everyone, are you stoked you're doing a Warner Brothers picture, or are you, no one from John Getz to Joanna Cassidy, Kimmy Robertson, David Duchovny, no one thought they were above the material. They saw a joke every 2 lines. They saw writing that was so funny. There's 5 quotes on every page. And so she took it and picked it up and whipped it around and drove it. There was never a second of doubt, a question of a choice, or she knew exactly what she was doing every single step of the way. And frankly, it's the only way you can get a movie done on that low of a budget. It was done by Outlaw Productions, negative pickup to Warner Brothers. So you have to make the movie first and then sell it to the studio with a pre-agreement. And so these are the people, Outlaw, the people. They're the Brian Riley and Bobby Newmeyer. They're the janitors at the cemetery that get all the money
Oh,
at the
yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Those are the producers.
That's funny.
And
Oh, that's
previously
Nice.
they had produced a picture called Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Oh, yeah.
And if you mix, Blair Witch with Paranormal Activity, but make it kind of an edgy psychosexual drama, shot on digital video. This was, Soderbergh is one of the first true like independent filmmakers, as well as Kevin Smith and Wim Wenders, and I could just go on and on and on. The 90s, the 80s and 90s created so many great filmmakers. So where were we again? Sorry, I get sidetracked so often. Oh, Christina. So Christina was
Christina.
so I've known Christina for years, and I'd always wanted to work with her, and I came close. It was between me and Jonathan Ward for Into the Night. It wasn't called Into the Night, but it was close to that title. It was about a detective that worked nights, but then took care of his two kids during the day, and they were Christina Applegate and Jonathan Ward. It ran for like 2 seasons, maybe. Night Force, I don't remember. So I didn't get that one, but now Jonathan Ward screen tested for Adventures in Babysitting. So here we are toe to toe again, and I was very blessed to get Adventures in Babysitting. But Jonathan Ward would have been a great Brad, absolutely best other Brad I can possibly imagine.
Total Recast.
So
Was it Heart of the City, by the way? Was it Heart of the City?
That's it, Heart of the City, or Night in the City, Heart of the City. So we get to working, and there's no. I don't need to get to know her. We've already been to the, Youth and Film Awards and dance clubs and, the social circuit for young kids in Hollywood. And we all have mutual friends of friends of friends. So had already been to her house, those kinds of things. So when we start filming, you just get on set, you just go, all right, what's the gag? A 27B? Okay, I'm going to pull a 16A here. And if you could do a turn there, and then we'll go into a 42F. Okay, cool. Instead of a 42F, maybe a 42A. Okay, we'll do a 42A there. So you just kind of get on the same page of what we want to pull off in the scene. And that way, when you go shoot your master and then your coverage, you're like, I know exactly what beat we're on. So we can throw the ball back and forth as snappy and quick as a Preston Sturges movie.
Yeah, I will say with the kids in this, I really did buy like I believe that she would be a sister type of person to you. Like,
oh yeah.
So I don't know how your relationship is, but that's how it came off as,
They created, what could have been just a plot, personality, kind of lampshade quirk for each kid. But I think they really developed Zach and Melissa and Walter. They weren't just one-note characters. And so subsequently, Swell doesn't become a one-note character. And they each kind of serve that function in the family. There's the sloth. There's the TV addict. There's the little love bug. There's the tomboy. And you got Christina, who's about to go into college and doesn't know what she wants. And the family, as a matter of fact, we got notes from the studios we're shooting. They're like, we like the family stuff. Add as much as you can. Add it. Like, it was supposed to be maybe 50-50 or a little more office stuff, GAW. And they're like, let's make it a little more even with family and office stuff. So it was good.
I'm in her office, by the way.
What?
I'm in her office, by the way.
Yes, you are. You got your Lotus and your mouse and your mini fridge filled with Diet Coke or Tab.
Right. Got some roses over there.
There's so many Tab references.
Are you faxing?
Yeah.
Keith, do you remember the first time you saw the movie, and did it have a proper Hollywood premiere? Did you go to it or anything like that?
Did we have a proper Hollywood premiere? Where did we see that? We had a cast and a crew screening. I don't think we had a premiere. I remember I did press that morning, like radio and TV, to promote it the day of the release. Wow, I'd really have to. Oh, we did. We had a premiere. It was a cast and crew screening. It was at the Directors Guild at Sunset in Fairfax, and it was a sight to see. All of the guys that played my friends, they had these yellow like beer mug tumbler. They were plastic with the Clown Dog logo on them. Stacks of them to give away as kind of party favors going away. but to see my friends, and I knew a couple of the guys, and I've been lifelong friends with 2 or 3 of my friends in Don't Tell Mom. Hollywood's it's a big city, but it's a small town. And to see them walking through the party with 5, 6, 7 of these stacked, and you put them once or twice through the dishwasher and the thing comes off. I don't know if I still have any left, but I bet you those bastards do. So it was drinks and food and crudité, and then watching the movie. And it was it was a blast. I thought it was a hit. We knew it was the tone we wanted. The music was great, and we were like, that solid B picture for a studio to release. I say B picture because it's not $100 million movie with Schwarzenegger. We made it for under 10 million, and it's got. The lead is a girl that's been on a series for a year or 2. Let's put it in perspective for Hollywood and budget and Warner Brothers. And it did great. It made like 30-something million or 26 or whatever it did. It did just fine. And then it just kept going. It had $1 million ad campaign for the VHS release where they had huge cutouts of the babysitter's legs sticking up in video stores.
I remember those.
Then HBO is kind of part of production, and so HBO films in terms of financing, maybe they helped somewhere along the line because it wound up on HBO every summer forever and ever, and I love that. It's great residual checks. Actors get paid every time it comes on TV. Not every time it airs you get paid for a 13-week cycle. So it could air once in 13 weeks, or it could air 27 times in 13 weeks. That's why you tend to see the same movies on cable for about 3 months, and then it kind of rotates.
Now it's on HBO Max, probably in perpetuity.
It is. It is doing great on HBO Max. I think it might be on a few other services as well, but I saw that on HBO Max. I promoted it pretty recently. And people are like, I already got my, I already got my DVD. Oh, I just watched it yesterday. And I love it that people watch it. And not for just, not for me or Kenny. The whole thing. It's fun. It's escapist fantasy. We all want to go in and not be appreciated by the corp and then save the corp's ass and be 17 while we're doing it. And, part of the conceit of the movie was at the time, the writers said a lot of movies where the parents left and everything falls apart and the kids get into trouble. And they said, what if we had a movie where the parents leave town, but the kids just get their shit together? And everybody does. By the end, everybody's had growth and learned and grown up a little bit. And, visually, Kenny has that huge growth to become Kenneth and changed into a gourmet chef. But
what was the reason for that change? Do you think it was just watching his brother fall off the roof and get hurt on his watch? Or was there more to it than that?
Oh, that's interesting. I never connected to that. That was showing the audience that Kenny cares. Something in there. And it was a good laugh for I should have been with him. Not on the roof, but I should have been reading Green Eggs and Ham or some shit like that. Right. They're always building great little details like, why don't we call Dad? Dad doesn't care. There's always these little throwaway lines that builds kind of the back universe. So that was day 1 for me. It was probably a week into filming for the production, but me and Christina picking up Walter at the hospital with Dr. Perlmutter, who makes a great Reagan, by the way, in a lot of the things he does. That was my first time as Kenny on screen. And so I don't have a lot of the mannerisms. I haven't really found his voice yet. But it was great because he's been broken down already and humbled by
his transition. So
when you get a script, you're shooting out of order. So you have to make notes of the arc of what happened in the scene before. Is he mad? Is he angry? Is he sad? Is he repentive? And so I did that for Adventures in Babysitting. All of your movies where you're shooting out of sequence, you have to make these notes of kind of what you think it is and consult with the director and everything beforehand, just so you know where you are, because you're shooting, the end first and then go back and shoot the middle, and it gets crazy.
Now, do you have a particular moment when you watch this movie that you're like, this is really a good movie, and not just from like the actor's standpoint, but like from like a fan watching?
Wow. That because, like I said, it's craft. You have Stephen HEREK, who had already demonstrated proficiency in really clever, witty, shot on low budget, but look higher budget, high concept stuff like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. You had a deep cast that included cast members of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Fly, and just great faces. An undiscovered David Duchovny. Kimmy Robertson, Twin Peaks, just so many great Brian. I'm sorry, Josh Charles.
Sports Night. Yeah.
I mean, I think from beginning to end, there's the animated opening. There's kind of credits going, and you've already dumped 3 pages of story, and the credits are still rolling. That's efficient comedy film work. Everything's set up, and everything pays off. The Chekhov's gun is mounted above the fireplace, and damn if that thing doesn't fire for everything in the script. There's not a line wasted, and I think that's what really makes it work. And then it's shot in a light flip. What are the stakes? What a 17-year-old's going to do when she goes to college? But it's handled in because she has to take on the role of the parent, all of a sudden we start to feel that stress of being head of household. Mm-hmm. So it works. It doesn't talk down to kids. If you're a kid and you watch this movie, there are 27 jokes that will go right over your head. And as you mature and you grow up, watching, you go, oh, that's what that meant. Oh, I get it now. That's great. So the writing goes back to great writing. When they stuck to their guns while we were making it, that's when I knew it would be successful at achieving what it wanted to achieve from a script. As we're making it, I go, they really haven't done any rewrites. No, they haven't. Well, it's because the dialogue's great. I know. Story's working out. Yeah, it's like a puzzle piece. Okay. So, very, very happy. And then I think that there's been really nice affection, and I really have to thank, the fans and production and Warner Brothers for supporting it. It is now the 30th anniversary of Don't Tell Mom Babysitter Dead, coming out this July. It will be 30 years. But it shot great. Looks like it was shot yesterday, and doesn't seem to have too many anachronisms.
Well, stick around for more of Keith in our cult film segment. He's going to participate in some of our favorite mini segments. So
yeah,
that's going to be awesome.
And this week's feature film is Don't Tell Mom, The Babysitter's Dead from 1991, starring Christina Applegate. We got 5 kids who their mom has left behind to go on a whirlwind trip to Australia for 2 months. Unfortunately, she left them in the care of an old geriatric crazy senior citizen to babysit them for the entire summer. Unfortunately, kids have other things in store, but most importantly, Dames, I have a very important question for both of you, actually. What are you 2 queens doing in that car?
I told him to get in and drive me to a store that has Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead on Blu-ray. Will we ever find it? Will we ever find that store?
No, because HBO fucking sucks.
Whoa. Unless they want to pick up our show.
Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Jeff, did you see this back in the day, like back in the theater?
Yes, I did. Watch it on VHS too, but I don't have that copy anymore. So I was one of the box office people.
Wow. Okay, so Dames, what are you doing? I hear noises.
He heard Christina Applegate and he can't help himself.
I don't know.
I see the top of a box. What are you doing?
He ordered food. Dude, you're supposed to share. What you got over there?
Somebody's really out to derail this episode quite early on.
And frequently.
He's eating cereal. He's eating cereal, it looks like.
There's petty cash in the drawer.
Oh, the 35 cents you found that I left there? Oh, gee, thanks.
Well, when I was leaving the house this morning, the kids were hungry. And all we had was Captain Crunch.
Your kids make money.
Hey,
Hey,
Captain Crunch. Do you have that in a punch bowl?
I do.
No way.
I do.
Evidence or it didn't happen.
You guys, I'm trying to work here.
So are we, dude. We're having a show.
James, next time we ask you a question, I don't know if you're going to be done eating or whatever, but you just say, I'm right on top of that, Rose.
Oh my God.
And you're going to have to learn how to use the fax machine eventually.
We've used all the good lines in this movie.
No, dude.
Oh,
That's not true. Now I'm going to tell you guys a story about the first time I saw this, because it was like a month ago. I've been hearing about it for a long time, trust me. But when it came out on VHS, there was an opportunity to see it. I was living in Pickering, Missouri at the time, very small town. And it was end of the school year. And our teacher was like, you guys in 5th grade, you get to pick one movie, majority rule vote, to watch for our last day of school. And the choices were Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead and Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, which was like a family drama about a girl and some horses. And wouldn't you know it, our class was dominated by females. They did not want to see Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, and I never saw it. So I've been growing up in like, I'm not going to say how old,
my man.
I'm not going to say how old I am, but all
It's a
these
tragic
decades
tale.
later, you could do the math, 1991, 5th grade, but all these decades later, I had thought that like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead was like a very, very dark comedy, like very dark, just based on the title of it.
I could see that.
And some people still say it's a dark comedy, but it is not at all. Like past one scene early on in the movie, there's not really anything dark about it at all. So I've been missing out this whole time. So, James, did you see it a long time ago or just recently?
No, I think I probably saw bits and pieces of it in passing on cable TV over the years, but I mean, until I bought this, had not seen any of it. It's like $4 on Amazon if anybody's interested in owning it.
We got Rev It Up. And we're going to start. I know, right? Hit the gas, because this movie actually had some pretty sweet cars going on it. You got a 1955 Buick Special. You actually also have a 1989 Ferrari Testarossa that Gus was driving so he could get laid. Rose, she was driving a nice 1970 Mercedes 280 SL. So you had some really nice cars. But for those who really want to know the big question, the Wienermobile is an International Harvester Metromite. So if you want one, you too can have one at the high speed of 25 miles an hour that you saw it go the entire movie. That's Rev It Up.
Out at 25 mph.
Wow.
No, those things can go faster, but by the time you get one these days, that's probably its top speed before it falls apart from rust and corrosion.
That's amazing. Wow.
Good work, Jeff.
Or David Duchovny's fancy supercar was a Honda Accord, but it was covered in toilet paper, so it probably stuck together a little bit longer than the hot dog mobile.
Let's talk about David Duchovny for a second. Has there ever been a more punchable face in a movie?
Yeah.
In this movie?
Oh,
not in this movie. I wanted to punch Gus a lot.
Okay, fair.
Between the two of them, though, that's a
Fair.
pretty steep competition. The douche meter was.
Now, do you always want to punch his face, or just in this movie?
Just in this movie.
I always want to
love
punch
David
David
Duchovny,
Duchovny's
but
face.
I found myself wanting to punch him real hard. As you guys are aware by this point, in CF3 lore, it is my job to provide you with the nudity. And Christina Applegate's not really one to express herself in those means. However, it is in an episode, or not episode, a issue of Playboy.
He's
It's a
frozen.
rowdy
Hey, Damon,
20
re-hold it up.
questions. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Re-hold it up because you froze.
See that.
Represent.
This is June 19th.
He's frozen all. You're frozen all the way, just so you know.
His bandwidth was low at one point before.
You got a notification of it, or
Yeah, I saw it. We're now interrupting this broadcast to bring you our new sponsor, H2O. Gotta drink it. Gotta need it.
James Marv's is on the bottom.
Just edit
Always
this.
on the bottom.
This is June 1999. She did do another 20 questions again in July of 2004. So I should have it, but I don't have it. I don't have it here.
Did you read the questions?
I did.
Were any of them
You spent
about?
more time on the pictures, right?
Were any of them about? Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead. Any of the questions?
No.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, they were not.
More married with children questions, I bet.
Yeah, it was mostly like, how do you, get over being cast as a sex symbol?
The answer is do a movie like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, where
Yeah.
you're like
I know, right?
responsible.
Right.
What you gonna get mad about?
The movies.
Ooh.
However, this is kind of a
Yes.
downer, you guys.
Oh no!
This is a
Disappointment time.
It's time to be disappointed and mad about the movies, but I've got to lead into this because I do have something very brief, but I got to introduce it the right way. Now, do you guys remember when the babysitter kicked the bucket? What did they wrap her in?
Tablecloth or a sheet?
Dames Marv's, as you eat the Captain Crunch. Do you remember? Well, it was a sheet or a blanket. It was a sheet or a blanket, Jeff. So you're right there.
Yeah.
Do you remember what was on it?
Should I just watch this last night again? Floral pattern?
Here we go. Dun 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 dun.
Uh-huh.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, California raisins.
dun.
Oh my god.
They wrapped her in a California raisins blanket, which
that's
made me
what it
laugh
was.
out loud. And Mad did not care about Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead at all, but
No.
they were totally up on the California raisins craze, just like that
Okay.
movie was. And so they did a cover with Alfred E. Newman as a California raisin,
Yeah.
and all these guys following him,
Okay.
presumably to the slaughter.
God, I actually have some of those California raisin figures somewhere in a box and stored somewhere.
I saw some at a store the other day,
Oh.
and they had like security
What?
alarms on them. I was like,
Oh my god.
it's like, why?
That's not.
It's like the only thing in the whole store that had them too. It's like
Oh my
$100 items and stuff. All right, guys, let's talk about our favorite line. What's your
Yeah,
favorite
man.
line? There are great lines abound in this film. We've talked about some of them just because you can't help it when you're talking about other stuff in the movie. It just comes up. I'm gonna obviously steal the one that was said like right at the beginning of the episode by Keith himself, and that we all have, plates and things, posters that say it on there. Ready? 1, 2, 3. The dishes
are done,
Done, man. Clean them down to a shine.
Wait, did he say that?
Yeah, he did actually. I actually wrote that down on my notes because it's like the dishes are done, man. And like a half second, he follows it with like clean them down to a shine.
I bet you that was like an ADR, unless you can
I
see him
know.
saying it.
Oh, you can see him saying it.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
All right. But besides those and some of the others that we've already talked about, what else do you guys want to single out here?
Well,
Why
who's
don't
going
you
to
save
blame
your
this?
last 3 brain cells?
You had 3.
Jeff, what did you start to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, who's going to clean this place up? And everybody goes, not me.
One that genuinely, and every time I hear it, I'm going to laugh. Every time I watch the movie, I know that I'll laugh. But when Swell was talking to Kenny and she goes, "Don't you have any pride?" He just goes, "No."
Go park it yourself. Metallica Breath is another good one. We're with you, rock and roll. I mean,
So Jeff, my friend Ryan says the Metallica Breath line. He uses it in everyday life.
oh, cool.
Even though you're only supposed to probably use it when people are talking about valet parking, right?
Yeah,
He
right.
uses it if he's like mad at somebody. It's like one of his favorite lines.
Oh, I can see it being used. So,
And then Katie always says the right on top of it Rose thing in everyday life as well. So,
Or she does.
but one of my favorites again is, oh yeah, what are we gonna say? Liza Minnelli stole my Buick.
that's why I like that a lot. That whole scene was funny because they're like, "Hey, what are you queens doing in our car?" That they, Liza Minnelli just stole our car. Well, it wasn't really our car.
Keith referred to this one a little bit in the interview. He actually paraphrased it or whatever, but I should have been there with him. Not on the roof, but reading Green Eggs and Ham or some shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a very quotable movie. Almost everybody has a line to some extent that's somewhat memorable to very memorable.
I mean, we've said a lot of lines, and they've been said by a lot of people. So it's not just one person dominating. It's not just Keith with all the great lines or anything.
No, even one of the other kids had probably the last line I wrote down, and it goes, "That's because it just happened. So you can't really tell like a MacGyver." And that was in response to the babysitter just dying, and one of the other kids just randomly is like, "You can't tell. It's just like a MacGyver."
Another one that I wrote down was said by the babysitter herself in her brief appearance. Time for little trollops to go home.
Oh, girls should dress nice, sugar and spice.
You guys sound like Mama Fratelli.
You're welcome.
She should have been played by her. That's a total recast, but
Yeah.
I want to talk about, it's not exactly a line, but I think it's a scene that I've never heard anybody mention it. It's definitely not permeated to everyday life or anything, but I just want it to be singled out so that we don't miss talking about it. But when Walter, the kid Walter, is watching the $25,000 pyramid,
Yep.
he's just saying the word clues that are listed on the screen. It's freaking hilarious, dude. Like, you know how they're giving him clues? Like, he's just saying the words because the words are always there on the screen for the audience to see. And he's just like saying them. Now, it would be different if he was like turned around, not facing the television, and then trying to guess based on their. But all he's doing is reading the words on TV. He's acting like he's smart or something. I thought that was
pretty
amazing.
funny. Yeah.
I thought it was amazing, and like if you're not paying attention, it might just go over your head. But
It goes to like the scene from like Groundhog Day a little bit too, where Bill Murray's seen Jeopardy so many times and he's answering the questions just as
like
they
Titty
pop
Caca.
up. What is? Yeah, exactly. It just reminds me of that, and I'm just thinking like, this is hilarious.
Oh, Sue Ellen. Every girl over 25 should have a cucumber in the house.
Oh my God!
I forgot
Why didn't I
about
write
that
that
line
one down?
actually.
Why did I
Dave,
not
is
write
there
that down?
any more that we didn't say?
No, you covered all the ones I had written down.
Okay.
For the memory of a lifetime, recast, recast, recast.
Each one of us takes turns recasting a role from the movie, and because we don't ever want, somebody to feel like they have to recast somebody that they liked. You know, if they liked the whole cast of Don't Tell Mom, we're not going to ask you to do that. So we would ask you in that case to recast a role for the reboot. So
Great.
So your total recast for Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead would be which role?
For a recast of any role.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that is tough. I couldn't. Well, you know what? Here's the thing, and I'd really want to offer kind of a moment for Christopher Pettitt, who's no longer with us, who played Zach. So, unfortunately, we do have to recast Zach. So, do we go with someone from that time? Do we put in Jake Gyllenhaal, who was a very good friend of Christopher Pettitt? Do we grab Leo, who was a very good friend of Christopher Pettitt? He would hang out with Leo and Jake. And do you go for someone who's hot now? Do you find? I don't know. I don't know.
Love
Those
what
can
you've
happen
said
in-
so far.
So you already
yeah,
aced the
me too.
1991 recasting. So do you have anybody in mind that you think would be a good in his role now, today, age appropriate?
Oh my gosh. There are so many great young kids today. You know, there's more opportunities for, I'm just going to say it, black actors than there were in the 90s.
Mhm.
And since the reboot, there is a Warner Brothers reboot of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, and it is going to feature a black family. And I think that's just fantastic. And I've spoken with the writer at length. Actually, he just wanted to do a Zoom interview and talk about the making of toy soldiers. So hopefully,
Nice.
he's not promising us a cameo, but him and the director have acknowledged that audiences today like to see that the filmmakers acknowledge an original picture. It can be tough to do that sometimes with rights and likenesses, and all that other stuff. But even if you have Bill Murray playing not Venkman or whatever, but playing a cab driver, audiences go, "Oh, I like that you did that."
Yes. Yeah.
Even if Toad isn't the same character from Point Break, by casting him in the new Point Break, audiences make a connection and they appreciate that. So I think everybody would like to find a way to get the original cast somehow driving by the scenario. They don't have to be half a page, a throwaway, a gag, and just let the audience go, okay, we know now that you know that there was another movie.
So Keith had
Wow.
Keith had some great ideas there, like because he knew about who almost got certain parts and who would have been
Right.
up at that time. So I like the idea of young little kid Jake Gyllenhaal in there. That would be hilarious. But Jeff, what do you have for a total recast for this?
This might be a little bit of a cop-out, but I'd actually do a soft reboot, and I would have Christina Applegate back as a new mom, and I'd have Kenny come back as another, as like, you know, I'd just bring back the returning cast, and they'd have their own kids, and they're going off, and then they got their own set of new kids, and I'd probably do,
So you would want them to be parents, like Keith and Christina would play parents who are themselves. They would
Right.
play Kenny and Swell again,
Yeah.
but have kids who need babysat.
correct.
Okay.
That means you could bring back Charles and all the other crew too. And then you could like really give a bunch of new kids that are up and coming like a real chance to shine.
I like it. James Marv's total recast.
I'm going a little ridiculous on this. I already kind of blew my load on one of my recasts, which was Anne Ramsey as the babysitter. I think that would have been awesome. But, you know, there's a couple of staple shows that I loved growing up, and Christina Applegate was in one, and then my recasts of her siblings and mother are from the other. And I would go Fred Savage and Jason Hervey as the two other brothers besides Keith Coogan. And then I would make Allie Mills, which is the Arnold's mother, the mom in the movie.
Okay.
If I was recasting it for today, maybe she's a little bit too old, but I still think she could pull it off. Aubrey Plaza as the main character.
She is in her 30s, I believe. Possibly
She
late
is, but
30s.
she looks young. She looks young. She looks like she could just be heading off to college.
Okay, my total recast, and don't get me wrong, I liked Joanna Cassidy in this as Rose, but I kept wondering how much more I'd love this movie if she were played by Catherine O'Hara, who would have been in between two Home Alone movies at the time.
Yeah.
And I'd even still cast her today in a reboot because she's amazing, and she just was part of the huge Emmy sweep that Schitt's Creek had. She's still amazing, and there's nothing that says that Rose has to be younger than that, you know.
Right.
That's
She's not
totally-
an age casualty.
Yes. Let's not throw away the women of Hollywood just because they turned, 50 at some point or whatever. So now it's time for the budget and box office report.
Well, this film had a modest $10 million budget. And if you can see by the numbers that we're showing here, domestic and worldwide numbers well exceeded 25 million. So it made 1.5 times what it cost to make. So that's a successful film.
Especially because this was a smaller production company that was making it.
Yeah.
As Keith told us, their first movie was Sex, Lies, and Videotape. This was their second movie.
Yeah.
And they would go on for a while, I think at least 10, 15 more years to make several other hits. And, that's good for a small production company. As long as they keep clearing the budget and then some, it's all good. It's not like they have huge Disney overhead,
Oh, God, no.
But think about this: a company that's presented with a movie like this, with a charming script, knowing that you can cast young actors that are on up and coming, and make 1.5 times what you spend. I mean, what small company wouldn't do that all day long?
Would anybody like to make a collect call? Is there any collector's items? As you learned from our previous segment, we could not track down any of those clown dog cups from the premiere that Keith told us about. But Jeff, what do you have there?
Oh, I just have my Keith Coogan autographed mini poster.
And if you guys want to know
keithcoogan.com.
If you want to know more, we made a special video about how you can order the stuff from Keith Coogan's website, including the signed Don't Tell Mom posters and stills. Get yourself a signed 8x10 of Kenny there. Great stuff. And just pull up that other video and you'll find all the details. So
Yeah. If you do look around, the most you'll find is like the movie poster, maybe some lobby cards or advertisement stuff on eBay. There's not a whole lot out there otherwise.
Jeff, you did show me a vinyl record had come out, and I thought that was cool because the soundtrack was really good to this.
Yes, it was.
I can't think of the band's name now. Beat Goes Bang did this really catchy song, Dragging the Line.
Yeah.
I feel fun. So that will get stuck in your head quite a bit. And also the soundtrack, I don't know if it's on the vinyl, but I would hope so because it was pretty big in the movie. The Spinal Tap song, Give Me Some Money. This is the only time that a Spinal Tap song has been used outside of a Spinal Tap movie on a soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And it was great because it was them raiding the petty cash.
Right.
Oh. All right, let's do some closing thoughts, you guys. And after that, we're going to go through our scores. So let's start with the closing thoughts and cult filmometer score for Keith Coogan. So I would ask you to give a score for Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead between 0 and 100. You can rate it as a cult classic. You can rate it based on an overall movie, how good of an
However you feel.
You could base it on Sean Whalen, the Sean Whalen rule. He said Twister was able to buy him furniture for his apartment.
So we give it a high score.
I will do it as the video promotion. On the VHS, it said there's a game. You could rate the babysitting movie, and you will win the Buick, the babysitter's Buick. So they gave it away. And you had to rate costumes, dialogue, direction, each character and each actor, Keith Coogan as Kenny, whatever, and you had to punch in your like 0 to 9 rating on the phone. This is when people had landlines, and then supposedly there was some winner, and I think somebody in UK won the car. So I talked to them. I've talked to a fan that knew the person that won the car from that. So I'll do it like that. I'll give 10 to the soundtrack, 10 to the script, 10 to the lead act, the ensemble, 10 to the locations, 10 to the time period, 10 to art direction, 10 to, and damn if this movie doesn't come in at like a 97. In terms of cult, I wouldn't have thought it was, I don't consider it, and I appreciate that. If people ever say something like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and mention anything I've done, like Adventures in Babysitting or Don't Tell Mom, they're lying liars who lie. And they sit on a throne of lies. But it's nice. And it's nice to be considered that. I can't, it's too subjective. I can't look at it objectively and go, but from the kind of films I like Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension,
Yes.
or Dark Crystal, or Jaws, or, strange movies, Stranger Than Paradise. Oh my God. I mean, I've seen films that I'm like are transformative. I've seen films that are fun to watch. I love Kingpin. Oh my God, what is guilty pleasure? Because Kingpin is funny beginning to end, and you kind of forget when you watch it again after a while. You're like, oh my God, how much they cover in Kingpin. So in terms of like a screwball comedy, a zany kind of a thing, I put it in the high 80s maybe. If I was to objectively look at the films I like, I'd give Don't Tell Mom like an 83 for cult.
Okay. Well, I would. What we'll do is we'll take the average between the 97 and the 83, and that'll be.
No.
I'm not going to do the math now, but
90.
But I will tell you.
It is. It's a 90. It's a solid A minus.
Yeah.
I will tell you that it is a cult classic. Many people would consider it a cult classic.
Right on.
And
I appreciate
understand
that.
it's too.
Don't argue with us.
You're wrong, Keith. He went 83 and 97 because he had different metrics, and we took the average, and so we're starting off with a 90. And again, we're all going to wait to give our 3 scores till the end, but we're going to do our final thoughts one by one. And so, Dames Marvs, give me some final thoughts on Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Well, you have Christina Applegate, an absolute smoke show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if she's making a collect call here or what.
I wish she was calling you.
He's calling to get it on Blu-ray. Like, I get Blu-ray.
Yeah. She's amazing in this movie. She totally transposed her image as a dumb bimbo who's dumb. A dumb bimbo who's dumb. Excellent. Keith Coogan's amazing. You got a very punchable David Duchovny in this film. Quite frankly, when he shows up on screen, I was like, whoa. Get back to Red Shoe Diaries, you piece of shit.
X-Files in a couple years.
Get ready to be good, because you're not anywhere near it at this point in your life. Is it Josh Charleston?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of him because of Sports Night.
Yes.
He's awesome, and I haven't seen anything that he's in that I don't like. So all those factoring in, you've got a great script. It's a little bit cheesy, but and a little bit fantasy. Kind of brings you back to the times of Big, where something impossible becomes possible. I don't know. I love the kind of movie where someone is doing something that they aren't like mentally capable of doing yet, and like accidentally end up doing a good job or impressing because of others. And that is a trope that happened all over the 80s in films exactly like this. So I do love this film, and I will tell you my score when we're ready. Go ahead, Jeff.
Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I actually saw this in theaters, as mentioned earlier. Growing up in San Diego, I actually worked with somebody in high school who was actually, her sister worked on a soap opera and was best friends with Christina. I had an opportunity to meet her, but I never actually was able to do so. But it was always cool knowing, hey, this lady's sister is actually best friends with Christina. And so there's a little 6 degrees of separation, but I never actually got to meet her. But she does an outstanding job in this movie. I think this is about the time in Married with Children where they start to give her a little more intelligence. They started her off that way, but then they made her dumb and kept her dumb for a long time. But by the end of the show, it came back around. You can't get rid of the hot factor. Where there's smoke, there is fire. She is absolutely stunning. She looks beautiful in this movie. I think it picks up very good on the sense of style she has, where towards the end of the movie, she's actually able to do what she knows. And her character sticks to that. She grows, she knows how to delegate. She learns what her mom's been going through, so does Kenny. The cast is outstanding in this movie. I think the writing is pretty good. I just have a couple nitpicks with the logic. Like, when she got hired, didn't HR notice when they got her ID that she was only 17 years old? Like, not sure about that one. But, there's good chemistry with everybody. Everybody's got a line. Everybody's got a good moment in this movie. Everybody, Walter. It's a hell of a fun time. And all I can say is, God damn you, Warner Brothers. God damn you, HBO. Get off your ass. Let somebody put this out because you fucking suck for holding on to this one that everybody should have a chance to get on a better format than DVD, which is very good, but it could be better. And we need the extras.
Look at this kid. He's like, smoke show.
Did you just hold up your score?
Oh,
Maybe.
Dumb
Maybe.
fuck. All right, there's a Twilight Zone theme cue in there in the movie, which automatically gets it points for me. Clever script. Would not have expected with the name of the movie, which is inane to me. And I don't know if it helped marketing or if it hurt it in the end. But it led me to believe that it would be a totally different movie than what it wound up being. I really liked that movie that I saw. And I have an important question for you guys. And if it is bordering on too personal, I'll just hit the edit button and no harm, no foul. But would you rather have the chili from Clown Dog in this movie or the chili from the arcade in Joysticks or the chili from the Cajun sushi restaurant in Howard the Duck?
Cajun sushi.
Okay. Even though it made some guy blow up or something. Yeah. James Mars.
The Clown Dog, clearly.
Clown Dog. Okay.
Is the only answer for this.
I would choose that as well because respect the meat.
Well, I forget what it said on the joysticks.
The meat. Oh, it was gross.
It was ridiculous.
It was disgusting chili.
It said something. It had like a slogan on it.
Not respect the meat though. But check this out. 3, 2, 1. Reveal your scores, James, for the second time. Oh, James didn't show his score. Wow. Or he decided
he was messing with the deck.
84, 89, 94. Coupling that. Not coupling. Gathering that with the 90.
You see? You're stupid minds. Stupid.
89.25.
That puts it just above Joysticks at 81.25 and just below Total Recall at 95.5.
Rock and roll!
We gave Total Recall 95?
That's what it got, 95.5. Don't blame me.
Don't tell Dane, but
no,
the babysitter's
I like that score. I just don't remember it being that high.
Total Recall's got a 93.5. Exceptional.
exceptional.
I guess we weren't high enough.
Oh, well, I think that's great because
Yeah.
guess what the average was? It was like 0.25 higher than the score that I gave it.
Yeah.
It is now history, part of history.
It is etched in the annals of history.
This is what
It
Don't Tell
is.
Mom the Babysitter's Dead's producers are doing right now. Unless they're dead. I don't know if they're alive.
So is this the second highest rated on our
Yeah.
scoring, Dames?
Yes.
Right on.
And James Marves, I just have to ask you, don't you have any pride?
No.
Didn't think so. Go park it yourself, Metallica Breath.
You know what I want to park?
A beer in front
What?
of your face.
Heather Kozar's face.
Is that like Bernie Kosar's sister? All right, check this out. Full-fledged Council's Kolsch. This is my hometown's beer. Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Is this a sponsor? Because I
Drink.
have one if you don't.
Drink irresponsibly.
Hey, we do
As I
accept
do.
sponsors, so do reach out.
Drink
Here's our
irresponsibly,
sponsor.
as I do every week. This is brought to you by Captain Crunch. What does it say? Crunchitize me, Captain?
And not Warner Brothers.
Crunchitize me, cat.
Brought to you by Warner Brothers' lack of this movie on Blu-ray.
Jeff, you love this movie.
Yeah, I do.
He rated it almost as high as Total Recall.